Hello, everybody. Welcome to Community. I am here with you for afternoon tea time. And today I am having cinnamon tea. So, this is a time where you get to ask any questions related to food, nutrition, and health, and I answer them. So, whether you're here live or whether you're here for the replay, this is an opportunity for you. So, some people have posted questions to me in advance. And so, I will start to answer those and we'll see how far we get in the 15 minutes that we have for community. What I don't answer this week, I will answer next week. And if you do have a question, feel free to post it into the comments and I can see that and add that into the queue. So let's see what we have. Welcome, welcome, those who are starting to join. And if you are joining, please send me a hello in the comments so I can kind of see who's here and acknowledge you. It's always fun to kind of know who is here. So let's see. I have my first question. So, my first question has to do with protein. And we talked a little bit about this last week. And it has to do with switching over from a regular diet to a vegan diet or vegetarian diet. And the person mentioned that she's tried this. Hi, Jody. Welcome. Glad you're here. And the person tried this several times over the course of their life. And each time they get about maybe 6 months into it, and then they have to quit because they start not feeling well and they feel like they're lacking more protein. Their body starts craving protein, and so they want more protein. So the question is, how can they get more protein on a vegetarian type of diet? And is there anything else that they need to know about protein requirements, given that they're now getting a little older, and so their protein needs are changing? And so, yes, the question is a great question because I have lots of clients who are vegans, who are vegetarians, and who don't really know how to get their protein other than from a lot of fake foods. And the problem with the fake foods, as you know, is that they are processed food. So they're going to react in your body like any other processed food, meaning they don't have a healthy response in the body. The body is challenged to digest a processed food, and it can impact your blood sugar, your cholesterol, inflammation levels, your weight, your mood, all of those things, right? So, vegetarian protein sources. So, first of all, anything that comes from the soybean is going to be a good vegetarian source. Some people can do more soy than others. Soy had a bad reputation for a long time, but that's been exonerated. There are many clinical trials that show that soy and the phytoestrogens that in soy can actually be protective, not damaging. If you have had certain type of estrogenic cancers, then in those cases you do need to be more careful with soy. But if you have a bite of soy or soy once a week, generally that's not going to impair your health. If you don't have any kind of estrogenic cancer in your body, you can have soy. Even if you have hypothyroid, you can have small amounts of soy. And it's a good source of protein. So I have soy usually about once a week. I don't try to do more than that. And you can get about the same amount of protein as a little piece of chicken or 2 eggs. So you usually get about 12, 13 grams of protein from the soybean, right? Most times I like having it in the full form of edamame, or I will do a fermented soy like miso or tempeh, or even sprouted tofu can be some of the best sources of soy. Grains. A lot of people don't think about grains, but grains have between about 5 grams of protein in about a half a cup. So beans are another great source, and beans have between like 7 and 9 grams for about a half a cup. So if you mix your beans with your rice, you're going to get a nice amount of protein. A lot of people know that, but you can also make like veggie burgers out of the beans and rice and have it be a little bit more tasty. And there are even smoothies that you can do where you can throw beans in it. And if you want a dessert, there are some black bean recipes. They're like brownie recipes, which can get you a little bit more protein. So those are three great sources. But then you also get it from vegetables. A lot of vegetables have a little bit of protein in it. And then when you add your nuts and seeds in, you're going to get it from there. So nuts and seeds and milks that are made out of nuts and seeds. You have to do more combining when you're being a vegetarian or a vegan. So you do have to be more diligent about the choices that you're making for each meal and for each snack. But you can get it. A normal woman like my size, I weigh 126, I need about 45 grams of protein during the day. So if I spread that among my 3 meals and maybe 1 or 2 snacks, I can easily get that. And as you age, you do need protein, but you also need to do strength building exercise to help to maintain and help the body naturally regenerate muscle in the body. You don't need twice as much protein, a little bit more, but not twice as much protein. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a show. We talked about protein and I gave the ratio on that. So, was that helpful to learn a little bit more about protein and sources of protein that you can use as a vegetarian? If you're online and it was helpful to you, just send me a comment. I love getting the comments and seeing the comments. Okay, next question had to do with um, weight. Weight. A lot of people are focused on their weight during this time of year, although my focus is on your health, right? The number of your pounds don't matter so much unless it's gotten to a place of unhealthiness in the body. So the health of our body is more important than the vanity of our body. So, but this one particular person has said she's never had a weight problem. But now in the last like year and a half, she's gained about 15 pounds. And so it doesn't feel good to her. It doesn't make her feel good. She's still relatively small, but she wants to go back to the weight that she felt like she was in her best body for. So it's an individual thing. And she's bought lots of books. She's bought the keto book. She's bought South Beach diet book. She's bought intermittent fasting books. She's bought all of these books. And she gets more and more confused as she reads the books. So, what are some of the keys with weight loss? First of all, to be effective with weight loss, you cannot just address the body. You cannot just address the diet and the foods that you are eating. There's a lot of mental stuff that goes into the food choices that we eat. Many of us are emotional eaters, right? So we eat for comfort. So you have to address what in the world is causing you to reach for those things that have triggered your weight loss. Sometimes it's limited beliefs about ourselves, like maybe we're not feeling worthy, we're not feeling that we're good enough, we're frustrated in the relationships or with the jobs that we have. And so we have to look at those beliefs in the mind as well and release some of those beliefs in the mind that are causing you to eat the things that are putting the weight on the body. Then, in terms of the soul, because you all know I focus on body, mind, and soul, you really have to look for what is it in my life that's going to make me feel fulfilled. Because often we are doing things and we've put our dreams on the back burners. We've put those things that are important to our heart and soul on hold while we live our life. And when we do that, it does emotionally, mentally, spiritually drain us and deplete us and cause us to seek comfort from other places. So that's another source for people doing emotional eating. So you have to address those two levels. And then for the body, really, you need a good whole food plan. And many of these books that you've been reading do provide good whole food plans, but you need structure and you need a support system and someone who can provide tips and strategies to make it simpler, to make it easier, to make sure the food is going to be delicious, because otherwise you won't follow it. And the downfall of any of these diets is really that they're hard to follow and they're hard to follow long term. Any of them can work for us. They're all designed to work theoretically, but they're hard to follow, right? So when you have a good whole food plan that's anti-inflammatory, that's balancing your blood sugar, that's giving you all the nutrient-rich foods, and we're working to help to kind of detox the liver so that it can function optimally in the body to process out what you need to process out. And we're detoxing the lymphatic system so it's moving so that it can help to eliminate these things that cause a lot of weight gain in the body. We're working on the digestive system so that you can digest and break down and absorb the good nutrients and process through the sugars and the fats in a manner that's going to be healthy for the body and not overloading the body. When you do all of those things, which any of those diets can do, sometimes some are better than others, that will help the body. So it's really a threefold approach: mind, body, and soul, and then having the support and the structure. And if you're interested in kind of getting a jump start and releasing some things that no longer serve you and recharging and renewing, I do have a program that's going to start in a couple of weeks. And you can just send me a DM, a direct message that says you want to get more information about it. And I'll be happy to share that with you. And you could see if that's something that could work for you. So let's see. Another question. Another question had to do with SIBO, and we have like another 2 minutes or so for this episode. And any other question I won't answer on the next show because we're starting to get way more questions than I can answer in any one show, which is fantastic. Keep sending your questions. I love doing this. SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Some people say SIBO, some people say SIBO. It doesn't really matter. It's an acronym. And it stands for that, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And it is a condition, it's a common condition. And it happens when the environment of our digestive system is not optimal. And the bacteria, which normally stays in the colon. So most of you know we are more bacteria in our body and on our body than outside. So we are essentially living bacteria. And much of it is in your colon and it's designed to stay in the colon and it has positive benefits. Sometimes we can get an overgrowth of the bad kind of bacteria, and then we have to balance that. But small intestinal bacteria overgrowth doesn't really relate to good or bad bacteria. It relates to where it is in the body. And it's when it moves from the colon into the small intestine. So it moves up the digestive tract. And when it's in the small intestine, it's not supposed to be there, right? And so as a result, when food comes through, the bacteria start to try to digest on the food. And then it produces a lot of bloating and a lot of gas and sometimes burping and sometimes diarrhea, sometimes constipation. There can be a whole host of symptoms, but it's because of this. So most people go and they do a breathalyzer test and they get a diagnosis for it. And then it can be treated in a number of ways. There are some prescription drugs that are typically used that are local to the digestive system. So they're not systemic like most prescription antibiotics and affect your whole system. These are designed just to work in the small intestines. And then there are certain herbs and things that can be used along with it. But in general, it requires a combination. It requires a diet that is low in what are called fermentable carbohydrates, right? So there are like 3 or 4 different dietary protocols that can be used. One is called the FODMAP protocol. They're kind of hard to implement and to stick with and to figure out how to eat around it. But that's what I help a lot of clients with. So we work on that. We also work on optimizing the environment of the digestive tract. So ensuring you have enough hydrochloric acid, because that's one reason that the bacteria are able to move up from the colon into the small intestine, is because the pH of the stomach is off from past habits. So we look at that. We'll look at your digestive enzymes. We look at the bile that's coming from the liver. Those are all secretions of the digestive process, in essence. Um, so those are a few things that we do with a nutrition approach to addressing SIBO. And again, if you need some support on that, if you have more questions, please do send me a DM and just let me know you'd like to talk, and I can set up some time and we could see if what you need and what I can offer is a good fit. And then we can work together and I can help you with those problems. It's not a simple thing. A lot of people get SIBO and it recurs, and it's because they're not addressing the terrain. They're just doing hit and miss and sometimes just antibiotics, and that's it. So, we are at 17 minutes today. So we are over time, but that's okay. I have enjoyed answering these questions. I have several more questions that I will post and answer next week. So be sure to either come live or watch the replay. And remember, if you are live, you can post a question in the comment section, and often, because you are live, I will answer the live question before I answer the presenting question. So I hope this was helpful. Every week we will be here at the same time, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring your tea, bring your questions, and let's have tea time together and get you educated on how you can be in your best body so you can live your best life now. It's all about the now. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will talk to you again next Wednesday. Oh, and stay tuned. This Friday, we have another freebie. We have Food is Best Medicine, Soul, Body, and Mind weekly show where I do food demonstrations or give you tips and recipes that support the body, the mind, and the soul. So we have much more fun because we make things on that show. So join us on Fridays for that at 12:30, and join us every Wednesday at this time, 4 p.m. for Q&A, Tea Time, Commun-Tea. All right. Have a great week. Bye, everyone. Oh, and I'm sorry for your delay, Joel, and glad you are here.